You won't believe how these Karens got exactly what they deserved, on the spot.
Rebecca Whitfield, a 42-year-old real estate agent with an immaculate blonde bob and designer sunglasses, believed customer service existed solely to cater to her whims. Sunday mornings were sacred to her, a time when she would flaunt her success at Sunrise Cafe, the trendiest brunch spot in Oak Ridge Heights. She usually called ahead to ensure priority seating, but today she'd been running late after her Pilates instructor kept the class an extra 15 minutes. As Rebecca pulled her white Range Rover into the last parking spot, cutting off an elderly couple who had been waiting, she checked her reflection in the rearview mirror. Perfect. No one would guess she'd been up until 2 a.m. arguing with her ex-husband about alimony payments. Image was everything in her world. The cafe buzzed with weekend energy, young couples sharing avocado toast, families celebrating birthdays, and groups of friends catching up over mimosas. The enticing aroma of freshly baked pastries and gourmet coffee filled the air, but Rebecca noticed none of it. Her eyes fixated on the line of people waiting to be seated, stretching out the door and onto. Zhou Chen's fingers hovered over her phone screen as she considered her options. The confrontation she just witnessed was textbook Karen behavior, but she typically blurred faces in her videos. This one, though, this felt different. The woman's deliberate cruelty towards someone just doing their job crossed a line. After a moment's hesitation, Zhou made her decision. This would be her first unblurred upload. In her small apartment that afternoon, Zhou edited the footage. She trimmed it to highlight the most egregious moments. Rebecca cutting the line, her finger pointing in Maya's face, her dismissive comment about people like them. She added captions for accessibility and her trademark analytical commentary about entitlement culture. At 3:17 p.m., she posted the video with the caption, "Think your real estate agent is nice. Watch how hashtag Sunrise Cafe Karen treats service workers when she doesn't get her way." The algorithm favored Zhou that day. Within an hour, her notification alerts became a constant stream of buzzing. Her entitlement chronicles had previously averaged 50,000 views per video, but this one hit that mark within the first 30 minutes. By dinner time, it had surpassed 500,000 views and was being shared across multiple platforms. "Oh my God, I know her," read one comment with thousands of likes. "She sold my parents their house last year. Acted super sweet but was nasty to the seller's agent." Another commenter wrote, "I work at the gym she goes to. She once made a new employee cry because the towels weren't folded to her liking." Soon, internet sleuths had identified Rebecca Whitfield and her real estate agency, Prestige Properties. Screenshots of her professional headshot appeared alongside stills from the video. Someone created a side-by-side comparison of her LinkedIn profile picture, poised, professional, with a practiced smile, next to her contorted face mid-tirade at Sunrise Cafe. By 9 p.m., Rebecca's social media was flooded. Her professionally curated Instagram account, featuring staged photos of luxury properties and casual shots of her networking at charity galas, became a battleground. Comments ranged from disappointed, "I expected better from someone representing our community," to vindictive, "Time to find a new career, Karen." Rebecca first noticed something was wrong when her phone began pinging continuously during her evening bath. Assuming it was work-related, perhaps a bidding war on one of her listings, she wrapped herself in a plush robe and checked her notifications. The blood drained from her face as she saw dozens of tags, messages, and comments referencing something called hashtag Sunrise Cafe Karen. It took her 10 panicked minutes to find the original video. As she watched herself on screen, Rebecca felt a peculiar sensation, as if she were observing a stranger. Was that really how she looked when angry? Was that really her voice, so sharp and condescending? The comments scrolling beneath the video answered her unspoken question with brutal honesty. Her fingers trembled as she tried to call her agency's PR consultant, but it was Sunday night. Voicemail. She tried her boss next. Also voicemail. With growing desperation, she called her closest friend, Diane. "Have you seen it?" Rebecca asked the moment Diane answered. "Becca, what were you thinking?" Diane's voice carried no sympathy, only disappointment. "It's everywhere. Jennifer's daughter showed it to her after dinner. Our whole book club has seen it." Rebecca sank onto her bed, the phone clutched in her hand. "It was just a bad morning. I was stressed about the Johnson listing and—" "Stop," Diane interrupted. "Just stop. This isn't about a listing. You humiliated that poor girl in front of an entire restaurant because you couldn't wait for breakfast like everyone else." By midnight, the video had reached 2 million views. Rebecca's phone continued to ping with notifications, but she no longer checked them. Instead, she sat in the dark of her bedroom, the glow of her laptop illuminating her face as she watched her carefully constructed reputation collapse in real time, comment by scathing comment. Monday morning arrived with merciless brightness. Rebecca had managed perhaps 2 hours of fitful sleep, her dreams haunted by a faceless crowd pointing smartphones at her. She considered calling in sick but knew that would only postpone the inevitable. Better to face it head-on and attempt damage control. She selected her most professional outfit, a charcoal gray suit that projected authority, applied extra concealer to mask her exhaustion, and drove to Prestige Properties with a cold knot of dread in her stomach. The office atmosphere shifted perceptibly when she walked in. Conversations halted mid-sentence. Her colleagues suddenly found their computer screens fascinating. Sandra, the receptionist who normally greeted her warmly, gave a tight-lipped nod before returning to her typing with unusual intensity. Rebecca had barely settled at her desk when her phone rang. The caller ID displayed Charles Whitman, her boss, the managing broker of Prestige Properties. Her throat tightened. "Rebecca, my office." Now, the line went dead before she could respond. As she walked the short corridor to Charles' corner office, Rebecca noticed the whispers and sidelong glances. Had everyone seen the video? The question was answered when she passed the break room and glimpsed a group of junior agents huddled around someone's phone, their eyes widening when they spotted her. Charles was not alone. Pamela Hughes from HR sat beside his desk, her expression unreadable. On the glossy surface of Charles' desk lay a printed screenshot from the video. Rebecca's face contorted in anger as she pointed at Maya. "Rebecca, please sit down." Charles began, his usual joviality absent. "I'd assume you're aware of this situation." "Charles, I can explain," Rebecca started. "It was a simple misunderstanding that's been completely blown out of proportion. I was having a difficult morning and—" "Stop." Charles held up his hand. "This isn't about your morning. This is about our agency's reputation." He turned his monitor toward her, displaying Prestige Properties' social media page. The comments section had become a battleground. Angry emoji reactions, one-star reviews, and comments ranging from disappointed to outright hostile. "Is this how your agents treat people who can't afford million-dollar homes?" Charles read aloud. "We'll be taking my business elsewhere. Prestige? More like Prejudice Properties. These are just from the last hour." Rebecca felt the blood rush to her face. "I can make a public apology. I'll personally respond to each comment." "I'll." "3 of your listings have been pulled this morning," Pamela interjected, her tone clinical. 2 were from referrals who explicitly cited the video as their reason for terminating our contract. Charles sighed heavily, the lines in his face deepening. "Rebecca, you've been our top producing agent for 5 years. Your clients love you, or they did. But this," he tapped the screenshot, "this isn't just about you anymore. We've built this company on our reputation for integrity and respect." "What are you saying?" Rebecca's voice came out smaller than she intended. "We're placing you on unpaid leave for 2 weeks while we develop a crisis management strategy," Pamela answered. "During this time, you will not contact clients, list properties, or represent Prestige in any capacity." 2 weeks? Rebecca felt panic rising. "Charles, the Westbrook estate closes next week. The Hendersons are flying in specifically to see the lakefront property. I have commitments, obligations." All being reassigned, Charles said firmly, "Martin will handle the Westbrook closing. Stephanie will take the Hendersons." Rebecca's carefully constructed professional world was collapsing around her. 10 years of networking, of carefully cultivated relationships, of 6 a.m. showings and midnight contract negotiations, all jeopardized by 3 minutes of viral video. As she drove home in a daze, traffic slowed near a bus stop. Rebecca glanced over automatically and froze. There, waiting the backpack slung over her shoulder, stood Maya, the hostess from Sunrise Cafe. She looked tired, scrolling through her phone with the resigned expression of someone at the end of a long day. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second before traffic moved forward again, but it was enough. In that brief moment, Rebecca saw not the little girl she had berated, but a person. A human being with her own life, her own struggles, her own dignity. For the first time since the video emerged, shame eclipsed Rebecca's panic. Not the superficial embarrassment of being caught behaving badly, but a deeper, more uncomfortable recognition. The person she'd become in pursuit of success was someone she herself wouldn't want to know. Sleep continued to elude Rebecca that night. After 3 hours of tossing and turning, she gave up and reached for her phone. A habit she developed during her divorce when loneliness felt most acute in the small hours. Without thinking, she opened the video again. 4 million views now. The comment count had surpassed 20,000. Rebecca began scrolling, a form of digital self-flagellation. The comments blurred together, variations on a theme of judgment and condemnation. Entitled, "Privileged," classic Karen. Some were crueler, speculating about her personal life or suggesting career alternatives that ranged from insulting to obscene. Just as she was about to close the app, a comment caught her eye. Unlike the others, it was lengthy, a small essay amid the quick jabs. The username was Maya_R02. Rebecca's finger hovered over the screen as she realized who had written it. Her first instinct was to scroll past to protect herself from whatever additional pain the hostess might inflict. Instead, drawn by a mixture of dread and curiosity, she tapped to expand the full comment. "I'm the hostess in this video," it began. "First, I want to thank everyone for the support, but please stop sending hate. Working in the service industry for 4 years has taught me more about human nature than my psychology classes ever could. Most people are kind and patient, but we all remember the difficult ones. What you don't see in this clip is what happens before and after these moments. You don't see the way some customers apologize later, or the regulars who defend us, or the manager who supports his staff. You don't see that after this woman left, an elderly couple gave me a $20 tip just for handling that situation with grace. Every person who lashes out is carrying something invisible. Maybe it's financial stress, health problems, a failing relationship, or childhood wounds that never healed. This doesn't excuse bad behavior. Nothing does. But it helps me remember that what I'm seeing is just one moment in someone's life, not their entire character. I hope whoever this woman is finds peace. Working in service has taught me that hurt people hurt people. If she ever reads this, I forgive you, and I hope tomorrow is gentler to you than today was." Rebecca set down her phone, her vision blurred with unexpected tears. She had been prepared for anger, for righteous condemnation. She had armored herself against attacks, but she got no defense against compassion. The young woman she had treated as beneath her had somehow seen through her behavior to something Rebecca herself had been unwilling to acknowledge, the pain driving her actions. Not just the stress of a busy morning or frustration at having to wait, but the deeper wounds, the humiliation of her ex-husband leaving her for a younger woman, the constant fear of aging out of relevance in her industry, the exhaustion of maintaining her carefully curated image of success. Maya's words. Hurt people, echoed in her mind. How long had she been hurting others to avoid facing her own pain? How many service workers, colleagues, even friends had borne the brunt of her displaced anger? For the first time since the video had gone viral, Rebecca considered the situation from outside herself. What if it had been her daughter in Maya's position? What if someone had spoken to Rebecca that way in front of her colleagues? She opened her laptop and navigated to the cafe's website. There had to be a way to contact Maya directly, to apologize not for the sake of salvaging her reputation, but because it was the right thing to do. The apology she owed wasn't to her boss or her clients or even to the internet at large. It was to the young woman who, despite every reason not to, had offered her understanding when she deserved none. Rebecca found what she was looking for, the cafe's contact information. She began drafting an email, then stopped, deleting the text. No, an email was too easy, too distant. If she was truly sorry, she would apologize in person, face to face, with no cameras or audience. Just two human beings acknowledging each other's humanity. As dawn broke over the city, Rebecca made her decision. She would return to Sunrise Cafe, and not as an entitled customer demanding service, but as a person seeking forgiveness. Rebecca chose Tuesday afternoon, when Sunrise Cafe would likely be between the lunch rush and dinner service. She dressed simply, jeans and a sweater, rather than her usual power suit, and left her designer handbag at home. As she parked across the street, her hands trembled slightly on the steering wheel. The familiar anxiety that preceded important client meetings surfaced, but this time there was no commission at stake, only her humanity. The cafe looked different in the gentler light of afternoon. Without the Sunday brunch crowd, the space felt more expansive, the golden wood and soft lighting creating a warmth that Rebecca hadn't noticed during her tirade. A different hostess stood at the front, regarding her with a flicker of recognition that quickly turned to wariness. "Hi," Rebecca said, her voice softer than usual. "I'm looking for Maya. Is she working today?" The hostess hesitated, protective instinct evident in her posture. "May I ask what this is regarding?" Rebecca swallowed hard. I'm the woman from the video. I come to apologize." Understanding dawned on the hostess's face. She studied Rebecca for a moment, then nodded. "Maya's on her break. I'll see if she's willing to speak with you." While waiting, Rebecca stood awkwardly by the entrance, acutely aware of several patrons glancing her way with dawning recognition. A barista whispered to a server, their eyes darting toward her. The weight of public judgment felt heavier in this small space than it had online. When Maya appeared from the back of the cafe, she looked different than Rebecca remembered. Outside the context of Sunday service, dressed in street clothes with a textbook under her arm, she seemed both younger and somehow more substantial, a full person rather than merely a service provider. Her expression was guarded but not hostile. "You wanted to see me?" Maya asked, maintaining a careful distance. "Yes. Could we?" Rebecca gestured to an empty table in the corner. "Could we sit for a moment?" Maya considered this, then nodded. They sat across from each other, an uncomfortable silence stretching between them until Rebecca finally spoke. "I saw your comment on the video," she began. "I don't deserve your kindness, but I wanted to thank you for it, and to say I'm sorry. Truly sorry. Maya's expression remained neutral. Why are you apologizing now? Because the video went viral? It was a fair question, the one Rebecca had been asking herself all night. That's what made me face what I'd done, she admitted. But I'm here because your words made me see myself clearly for the first time in years. She paused, searching for honesty rather than excuses. I've been taking my pain out on people like you, people I thought couldn't fight back. It's inexcusable. Something in Maya's expression softened slightly. What kind of pain? The unexpected question caught Rebecca off guard. She had prepared to deliver an apology, not to be seen herself. Yet there was no judgment in Maya's eyes, only genuine curiosity. My divorce, Rebecca found herself saying. My ex-husband left me for his 28-year-old assistant 2 years ago. I'm watching my relevance slip away in an industry that values youth and connections. I'm terrified of being replaced, forgotten. But that's no excuse for how I treated you. Maya nodded slowly. It's not an excuse, she agreed, but is an explanation. We all have those moments where our worst selves take over. Your comment mentioned that you're studying psychology? Rebecca asked, noticing the textbook on the table. Clinical psychology, yes. I work here to pay tuition. Maya's lip quirked in a half smile. You've given me an excellent case study in displaced aggression. The unexpected humor broke the tension. Rebecca found herself laughing. Genuine laugh that felt foreign after days of stress. I'm still learning too, Rebecca said softly. Apparently, I needed a very public lesson. Their conversation continued, moving from apology to genuine exchange. Rebecca spoke about her career pressures. Maya shared stories of other difficult customers and her techniques for maintaining composure. What neither woman noticed was a familiar figure at a nearby table. Zhou Chen sat quietly in the corner, her phone resting on the table, capturing this unexpected sequel to her viral video. Zhou Chen sat in the corner of Sunrise Cafe, her cappuccino growing cold as she observed the unexpected scene unfolding before her. When she stopped in for her usual afternoon coffee, the last person she'd expected to see was the subject of her most viral video. Yet there sat Rebecca Whitfield, engaged in what appeared to be a heartfelt conversation with Maya. As a content creator, Zhou had built her platform on exposing entitled behavior, but she prided herself on being more thoughtful than the average drama channel. She studied social psychology in her spare time and tried to use her platform to examine the broader cultural issues behind public meltdowns. Now, witnessing what appeared to be a genuine attempt at amends, she faced an ethical dilemma. Her followers would certainly want to see this development. But was it right to film this clearly private moment of vulnerability? As Rebecca wiped away an unexpected tear and Maya offered her a napkin, Zhou made her decision. She captured this, but handled it differently than the original confrontation. Later that evening in her apartment, Zhou reviewed the footage. Unlike the raw anger of the first video, this one showed something more nuanced. Two women finding common ground across a divide of privilege and circumstance. She edited carefully, adding thoughtful commentary about redemption, cancel culture, and the complexity of human behavior. After much consideration, she titled it, The Return of Sunrise Cafe Karen, Redemption Arc. The video posted at 9 p.m. with a lengthy caption explaining that while accountability was essential, so too was leaving room for growth. Within hours, the comment section became a battleground of conflicting viewpoints. She's only apologizing because she got caught. Don't fall for it, wrote one user. People contain multitudes. We've all been the villain in someone else's story, countered another. This feels staged. Did her PR team set this up? A skeptical viewer suggested. I work at Sunrise and was there. It was real. Maya told us about it afterward, responded a cafe employee. By morning, the video had reached 1 million views, fewer than the original confrontation, but impressive for what was essentially a conversation between two people at a cafe table. News outlets picked up the story, framing it as a referendum on internet call-out culture. When Karens apologize, is redemption possible in the age of viral shaming? Read one headline. Rebecca discovered the new video and her phone once again exploded with notifications. Her first reaction was horror, her vulnerable moment broadcast for all to see. But as she watched Zhou's thoughtful framing and read some of the supportive comments, she felt something unexpected, relief. The narrative was shifting, not erasing her mistake, but acknowledging her humanity. At Prestige Properties, Charles called Rebecca into his office 3 days into her 2-week suspension. The situation has evolved, he said, sliding a tablet across his desk to show her the metrics on their social media accounts. The wave of negative reviews had slowed, replaced by a more complex conversation. Some clients had even reached out to express support for Rebecca after seeing her apology. We've been discussing a potential way forward, Charles continued. The public response to your apology video presents an opportunity. People connect with authenticity, with growth. He leaned forward, fingers steepled. What would you think about becoming the face of a new initiative? What kind of initiative? Rebecca asked, wary but curious. Something focused on respect and communication and customer service from both sides of the counter. Your experience gives you a unique perspective. He smiled slightly. Maya Rodriguez has already agreed to consult if you're on board. Rebecca blinked in surprise. You've spoken to Maya? Her psychology department at the university has a community outreach requirement. She suggested a workshop series on de-escalation techniques and emotional intelligence in customer interactions. We'd sponsor it, you lead it, and it would help rebuild your professional reputation while actually contributing something meaningful. As Rebecca left Charles' office, she found herself smiling for the first time in days. Her phone pinged with a text message from an unfamiliar number. It's Maya. Your boss called about the workshop idea. Didn't expect him to move so fast. Coffee tomorrow to discuss? Same table? This time without cameras. I checked with Zoe. Rebecca texted back immediately. I'll be there. And Maya? Thank you for seeing something in me worth saving.